It's so bad. So bad. Let's talk about this. Let me pause CTS really quick. So, you guys know about all the layoffs that are happening at Xbox already. We covered that many times over by now. But one of the teams that got laid off pretty hard was id Software, the people behind Doom, obviously. And id Software, it was rumored most of their staff was let go, to the point where they were basically downsized to essentially a support studio. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you guys want to see more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join me every single day, 9 p.m. over on the main channel, where you can catch me live every single day, 9 p.m. Eastern. I hope to see every single one of you there. Now back to the main video, where they're not going to be really making anything on their own anymore, at least not right now anyway. And people don't realize just how bad it actually is, because if you look at this, it says probably dead forever. The team behind the incredible Doom and Wolfenstein engine reportedly reduced to just one person following the Xbox cuts. One person. That's all that's left to work on that engine. I mean, it is just wild. At this point, I think it's pretty safe to say that id Software is probably not going to last very long. Now, I don't know why they didn't just shut them down at this point, because if there's that little people left to work on anything important like that, then naturally I gotta imagine that they're probably not gonna really be doing anything unless they plan to replace the team or something. I really don't know, but let's talk about this, because this particular studio got hit pretty hard. And keep in mind, guys, their DLC just came out. I am planning to play their DLC for Doom: The Dark Ages. You know, a lot of people are actually playing the game right now. It got a little bit of a boost with the DLC. I think it's called Revelations or something like that. But I mean, regardless, you know, it did okay in terms of performance. But the problem is that okay performance is not enough, because this performance is half of Doom Eternal. This game came out 14 months ago, and it did half of Doom Eternal, which is not good. If you look at Doom Eternal, you'll see Doom Eternal was at 104,891. And I know people are like blaming Game Pass and all that stuff, but realistically, Doom's one of those games that should supersede Game Pass. It should be like kind of like a Bethesda game, where, or even like a Stalker 2, for example, games that came out on Game Pass, like Expedition 33. They should be good enough that they surpass Game Pass, that people are going to want to buy them no matter what, because they're established franchises, especially this. Now, I know a lot of people were pissed off about the Mick Gordon situation. I know that really like turned off a lot of people. I just don't think that's all the people. I don't think that's this, because this is a massive drop, right? So I don't really think that this is necessarily all the people to account for this like 70,000 concurrent loss. I just don't. But in any case, you know, people will say that Doom Eternal got boosted by COVID and stuff like that. Yeah, I get that. But honestly, a franchise like Doom should be able to perform at that level regardless, whether it's shutdowns or not. You know, this game comes out, people should be like just be running at this game. Doom is Doom, and as long as you respect the franchise, there should be people wanting to play Doom no matter what. But anyway, we could blame Game Pass, we could blame COVID, we could blame anything like that. It doesn't matter, whatever. It's just at the end of the day, I really don't believe any of that. I believe Doom really should have stood out and should have sold way better than what it did, because estimated on Steam is basically 900,000 to 1.4 million. It's probably right at about 1 million, most likely, if I had to really guess. Probably at about 1 million. But anyway, so with all that being said, let's go over id Software. I want to cover that because it's pretty bad, man. I don't think this company's gonna last, right? The axe is swinging around. Xbox at the moment, as hundreds of jobs have been cut across Microsoft Game Studios, and id Software has reportedly been substantially hit, to the point that there's apparently only one single person left working on the id Tech engine. So if there's only one person working on the engine, I think it's safe to say they're not making any games anymore. At least not their own games. They could definitely like work on another team's game, or, you know, supplement another studio. But I really like the id Tech engine. I do. Like, I think it's a really good engine, man. Their Doom games, not only do they look amazing, not only do they play amazing, but they run amazing. Like, there's never been any like performance issues that I could think of in the back of my head. I'm sure they existed at some point, but there's never been any problems. Not like Unreal Engine, for example. So I've really liked the id engine, just like I like the Cry engine, you know. But this game always ran like pretty damn decently. But anyway, let's continue. So this comes from Kotaku, which goes into the changes at the studio. Sources tell the outlet that the id Tech is now a department of one of the following latest redundancies. The engine is bespoke technology to the company. It has been the backbone of the Quake, Wolfenstein, and Doom games since the mid-90s. The institutional knowledge is just not there. id Tech as a technology is probably dead forever. A person familiar with the situation says, do you think that they would probably... Do you think they want to switch over to Unreal Engine 5? Or Unreal Engine 6 because they're coming out with 6? Can you imagine if Xbox ended up gutting id Software, leaving only one person to work on the engine because they are technically going to probably switch over to Unreal Engine 6? I can't even... Honestly, dude, I can't even imagine, but now that I think about it, that is probably what's going to happen, right? Realistically, that's probably going to... Because think in mind, this is one person left on the team that runs the engine, right? Specifically speaking about the engine, right? This is not their development team. So if their development team got hit with layoffs, but nowhere near as bad as the engine team, then chances are they're probably going to be moving to another engine for future video games. And let's be real, it's most likely going to be Unreal Engine 6, right? If I had to guess. That sounds awful. That sounds awful. I don't even want to think about that, but that's probably what's going to happen. That's so disgusting. Although the engine was mostly for in-house games, it's been used elsewhere, such as in Indiana Jones and The Great Circle, from Machine Games, and in both the Evil Within installments from Tango Gameworks. Really, though, it's the implementation of the modern Doom games that have garnered the most praise. The bouncy, punchy power fantasy of Doom 2016 Eternal and the Dark Ages come from the engine and how confidently id Software was able to use it. These are all among the finest first-person shooters of the last 20 years, and to see people integral to them be treated this way is just sad. Now, again, guys, for me, I look at this stuff and I'm like, yes, they are integral, but realistically, just looking at the performance of the last game, it doesn't matter how integral they are. It doesn't matter what kind of knowledge they have. If the game's not performing, it's not performing, right? And realistically, looking at the, I guess like engines, just speaking strictly of engine, I've always been a fan of proprietary engines. I would much rather the studio develop, fund, and research their own proprietary engine than utilize another, company's engine, most likely Unreal Engine. I'm always a fan of that. Always a fan of them having their own. But I also understand that to be able to do that successfully is very hard, right? To be able to do that and fund it and have the money for that and the research and development time is very hard. So I do get that. So having your own proprietary engine, I understand is very difficult. So I don't expect every studio to do it, even though I would love for them to do it. I understand they just don't. But in this situation, if you have an engine that has performed pretty damn good, like I'm sure, yeah, it's had problems at some point, I'm sure. But for the most part, it's performed pretty damn good, right? If you've had an engine, you already put all that time and research and money and development into that engine. Why the fuck would you give it up for Unreal Engine 6? I don't get it, considering that you're going to have to train your team members on how to use Unreal Engine 6 when they already know how to use id Software's engine. And then on top of that, too, that engine has proven to be able to provide a graphical fidelity that is more than good enough for modern video games. So it's not like you're going to be, you're not going to be lacking in terms of visual fidelity or anything like that. Like it's going to be fine, more than fine. So why switch over? I feel like they're switching over because Epic Games is having these contracts with these companies. I'm not really sure the details of that, but it's pretty clear that they want to put themselves everywhere. They essentially, Unreal Engine is going to be the engine that the majority of the gaming industry uses, whether we like it or not. And yeah, like the chat is saying, I like CryEngine. I really like CryEngine. I feel like CryEngine makes the most like beautiful, smooth running open worlds. It's unbelievable what some of the video games that use CryEngine actually have been able to achieve. Just looking at Crysis alone and how good it still stands the test of time is insane. And not only that, KCD2 and how unbelievably good that game looked. That game ran on CryEngine as well. So CryEngine really puts out some banger video games, and id Software's engine also did as well. But unfortunately, it looks like it's going to go the way of the dodo bird, which, again, I don't know what that means for the future, but I could pretty much tell you what I think it means. And I think it means that Unreal Engine 6 is here, boys, for id Software. And that's assuming id Software continues to make video games. That's assuming. Because, again, I just want to remind you that the team has been nuked. And according to a former id Software artist, they are saying that the team has essentially been relegated to a support studio size. So that's it. Like, I don't know if they're going to be making their own video games for a long time. So this shit, man, Doom: The Dark Ages might be one of the last Doom video games we see for a while. I don't know. That's a little scary to think about because I really like Doom. But again, for me, Eternal was better than Doom: The Dark Ages. But I guess, it is what it is. Regardless, that's basically it for id Software. And, they're definitely one of the studios that got hit hardest. And you know what's sad about that? What's sad about that is they had one of the better performing video games. Isn't that sad? Like, even though their game underperformed, their game was still one of the better performing video games out of Xbox's library that has happened recently. All these other studios that required subsidization, all these other studios that were taking money from more successful video games, they got let go. They lost so much money that now they have to let go other studios that weren't as bad. They were like kind of average in the middle. id Software is another one of those. So there you go. Kind of sad, but that's just how it goes.